Okay, and so in this video, I kind of want to do something that's a little bit more meaningful than just useless programs. I mean, sure, it's going to be a little useless, but it's going to be more exciting. And so this will be kind of the last exercise for while loops. So we're going to create a game. It's going to be a dice guessing game where the computer is going to roll a dice internally, and then you as the user will try to guess what the dice rolled, and every time you fail the guess, the computer is going to ask you to enter your new guess. In the code, the computer is also going to keep count of how many times you try to guess, and then at the very end, when you actually guess correctly, it will tell you, well done, you guessed correctly in however many attempts. So this will just kind of be like a code along, and you will have an extension off of this problem. So to get started, because we'll be rolling a dice, so we need random number. So I have to import random. And then immediately I can create a variable called dice roll, which will be the value, the random value that the computer rolls. And that will be random.randint, and the dice is between 1 and 6. So this will give me a random value. Now, when I have my while loop, I will need a condition. And I know that if I go into the while loop, it should say, nope, try again. And then we should be asking for you to guess again. So we need a variable for the user's guess, right? So we'll say guess equals input. Please enter your guess. Okay, so that's kind of cool. And then when you finish guessing, then we'll just print. I'll use an F string here. So it will say, well done, you guessed correctly in however many guesses. So I need to keep track of this counter, which means that I have to initialize the variable. So to create it, and in the beginning, I'll just say that the counter is 0. Okay, and I know that while I'm guessing, the counter has to continuously increase. So I'll say counter equals counter plus 1, because I want the previous value to increase by 1 and then to override the counter, just like we've seen in the last video. Okay, so now what is my condition? When am I cycling through this? So the condition is if my guess is not equal to the dice roll, right? So I will continuously go into my while loop as long as my guess is not the same thing as the dice roll, right? So as long as I'm wrong, I will continue going through this. And there's one little thing that I also cannot forget, is that when I'm taking the input, this is going to be the string. So I have to convert it to an integer, for example, in this case. So then I can actually compare guess with dice roll, right? Because dice roll is an integer, so that guess also has to be an integer. But if I was to run this now, I'll get an error right here because guess is not defined. So I first have to create a variable guess and set a value in there. Now it wouldn't be the smartest thing for me to guess like number 2 here, to initialize guess as 2, because what if my dice roll is 2? Then I never even get a chance to make a guess, right? So what I'll do is I'll make my guess be -1. Sure, I could make my guess, my initialization, be 0 because the dice can never roll a 0, but I'll just make a -1. Okay, and so now if I run this, it seems pretty good, but there'll be one little issue, and that is this line is going to print the first time that I play this game. So before I even make a guess, and you'll see it right here, right? It says, nope, try again, even though I haven't made my guess yet. So how can I avoid that? And the way that I can avoid it is by first actually asking for my very first guess. I'm going to ask outside of my loop, okay? But this will open up one small problem, and that is that now, as soon as I make this guess, I have to increment my counter. So I'll just say counter equals counter plus 1, right? Because I already guessed. So after this value, my counter should be 1. Otherwise, my counter here would always be 1 off. And I believe this should work. So if you want to try running it, we'll just guess 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay. And that seems to be working fine. Okay, and so your extension is going to be to change the code and make it so that you have a maximum of 3 guesses. If you incorrectly guess 3 times, you are met with the message saying you lose. But if you guess in less than 3 guesses, then you win. And the program tells you how many attempts you had remaining. So yeah, good luck.